This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. Remember this day, men, for it is yours for all time. Spartans, lay down your weapons. Persian, come and take them.
Welcome to the Live a Meaningful Story podcast, where we explore connections between the movies we love and the stories we live. We are friends and colleagues with backgrounds in storytelling, filmmaking, teaching, and narrative therapy. Join us on our quest to unlock the power of storytelling for your life. I'm Derek Hatch.
My name is Nick Natal.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joseph Wilson.
I'm Jason Lynn.
Spartans, prepare for glory. Ahoo, ahoo, ahoo. Thank you. Hey, everybody. This is Joseph, part of All Thing Narratives and a part of our podcast that we're doing today. And
Joseph completely dressed up in cape and helmet.
I'm in this.
So amazing.
This is the wedding cape for those who don't know. And I definitely bought a helmet from Amazon that I will be returning after this, you know. But yeah, today, in honor of what I'm wearing right now, we are talking about the movie 300, directed by Zack Snyder.
We're doing this series on authenticity.
Yes.
There is nothing more authentic right now than this moment of what you're dressed in, which is also what you wore at your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible.
I'm getting my money back. Also, very authentic.
That's wild. You just borrowing it from Amazon.
Yeah, just for a little bit, and then they're gonna get it back. This is the first time I'm actually really wearing it too.
And the last.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so since we're talking about authenticity
His
and
helmet
things like
was
that,
stifling.
yes, I will get.
You gotta send it back and then have the comment that it was stifling.
And they were like, but yes, what were your guys' thoughts about 300? Oh wait, should I do the letterbox first or should I?
No, we'll just share our thoughts real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So I haven't seen this film since it first came out. It's been a while.
Mhm.
And it was better than I remembered it.
Okay.
So Joe is finally the one to bring
Zack Snyder.
a Zack Snyder film, Nick's favorite director, all-time visual auteur.
Visual what?
Visual auteur.
Explain
Go ahead.
it. No,
Please, Nick, explain it.
It's someone with a distinct personal style that
You cannot deny that Snyder has a distinct personal
you
style.
cannot deny it. Even though this style is from Frank Miller and not Zack
Well,
Snyder.
but
It is true.
Yeah, it's true. But he brings it to life, and we'll get into that too. But
Yeah.
we're gonna have a whole section on
The
it. Don't
style
worry.
is goofy and slowed down and dramatic.
Yeah, it is dramatic.
It is goofy.
No, I want to say
it is goofy.
I want to say it's goofy.
This
I
was
think
Tori's
It's
first time.
schlock.
No,
not
this is not schlock.
So this was Tori's first time
Wait,
seeing
this
300.
is literally from Frank Miller.
I know. We know, Jason.
Yeah, wait,
Okay,
no,
but let's give Zack Snyder
We
the
all
credit.
know.
We don't know
We
that
know
it's
now.
the same style.
Well, you're telling us. We know.
We
tell you
all
something,
know.
we
I think
know.
he's telling the audience.
like
Jason's the voice for the audience.
Yes.
No, I'm saying that
So-
you guys can't get away with saying that this is not Frank Miller's style in this.
Oh,
No, didn't
we
say that. No,
fully
I'm saying
acknowledge
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
But then give Snyder credit also.
because
Yeah.
he pops it.
Yeah, because he
does.
pulls Frank Miller's influence later when he does Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tori, what'd you think of this movie? She's like, well, it's a good precursor to Wonder Woman. It's like Zack Snyder was figuring it out.
Yeah.
So
Wonder Man.
I mean, but he didn't even do Wonder Woman like that. I mean, he
no,
was on,
but
like,
everything that with BVS, like he really established Wonder Woman to
Mhm.
where like when Patty Jenkins did her movie,
Yeah.
like it's all Snyder influenced action.
True.
Like
even the slow-mo and
aside from the movie itself, Wonder Woman is cool.
what is
No, like
Oh.
like
Awesome. Awesome. That's a
keep
Hall
it
of
in.
Fame comment.
Yeah, keep that in. Keep that in, coach.
like no, I mean like the movie.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
Jason, Nick, what'd you think of 300?
Oh,
Scared to ask.
I might need to watch that movie again because now I'm telling my own thought.
Hey, when you guys come over Friday night, maybe we watch BVS.
I'll watch BBS.
All 3
Oh,
hours.
I just want to watch 2 hours of it.
You gotta watch the full
No,
gallery.
as soon
wanna watch
as
any.
the Batman Superman fight is over, that movie's over.
Martha.
As soon, yeah, it ends right there.
It's at Martha.
The next-
Martha
then-
credits.
It's serious, dude.
Martha.
And we'll,
You got a whole nother 50 minutes after that.
yeah, because it's still wrapping up the other things.
No. I'm not opposed to long movies. I'm just opposed to movies that end at 2 hours and are actually 3 hours.
Nick, what'd you think of 300?
Oh, man. See, I knew Megamind had more in there for me, and it elevated after the podcast. I have very little hope that this one's going to elevate for me.
Well, I hope I surprise you.
Fun fact, true story. I remember my very first film class I ever took in high school. 300 was coming out at the same time, and I remember being so excited for it. I promise you, I was like, this looks like the coolest movie ever.
You're disappointed?
I don't remember seeing it. I just remember asking my film teacher how excited he was for it, and he laughed at me. I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, isn't it? And he was like some weird old professor film teacher, and he just laughed at me. His name was Mr. Bukowski or something like that. He was old and had a weird way that he spoke and just a cool
Laughed
guy.
you out of the class.
Oh my God, I'll never forget that. And I wasn't hurt by it. I just was like, that's a really weird answer. Like his tone in the reaction, I was like, that's strange. I was like 35 years old now. I know why.
Yeah.
So
When did you finally see it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Somewhere in my 20s, I guess. Maybe then. I don't remember. I probably thought it was cool then. But then I grew up.
Well, Nick, the Lord says have childlike faith, so let's get into it.
Says the one who's wearing the Spartan.
Exactly, literally.
So you want to know when I first saw this?
Yeah, when did you see it?
It was in high school. A teacher played a historic Spartan movie.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we see the moment with him and his wife, and we're like, "Ah!"
What? That was the moment they played?
Well,
She played the movie.
Miss Abbott had no clue what she was putting in there.
Did she stop it?
She went, oh, she fumbled for like the remote. It was like classic, like, oh no, we can't. Just turn it off.
And then by that time, it was already done. So
And unfortunately, this was
The rest.
this was a teacher that like a lot of that stuff having the class like got one over on her all the time. They would mess with the projector, and she'd be like, why is it doing that?
I mean, that's like a pretty like like I was fast forwarding
it's
through
very
that scene. I'm like,
graphic,
oh, it's still going.
they were getting it.
Oh, it's still going.
yeah.
And then the temptation scene with the Hunchback, like with Xerxes, is also kind of like one of those.
Yeah.
Like, this is gross. It's not even
There's
like,
some gross stuff in this
Yeah.
movie. I'm not gonna lie.
But
Yeah.
I think that also ties to what he was trying to convey with the Persians, or just like how evil, like it may look appealing, but it is just sick and it's just gross. I think Zack Snyder's got some things to say about this. But my first time seeing this is actually, funny enough, our pastor when I was growing up in California.
This is amazing.
He was hyped for this movie because he was seeing we went into this and we watched it as
Nice.
like a men's group. So the dads and the sons and like the pack, like we went to go see this movie, and then he preached about it from what like the different stuff he got. Like you could see like some of the spiritual aspects of what he got. I think like 2 Sundays after that. So
took him a whole week.
it took him a whole week, but he was really on that 300. So that's where I really got a lot of my like, oh, maybe there is some deeper stuff behind this movie.
So this is the first movie we've done on the podcast where high school history class, church pastoral ministry, and as I'm going to talk about later, the only study I could find on the relationship between narrative therapy and film, all with the film 300.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
There is something to this film if it could touch all those different realms.
Bases, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
For
this
I don't think
thing
it's
is a fluke.
I don't think it's the film's. I think the Wonder Woman comment you said applies to this film. Like I feel like this film, the story of Leonidas,
Yeah.
like all of that is a transcendent cultural that will cross boundaries. But how this film is presented is not the reason why it's transforming cultural or transcending culture.
Spartan.
That was a meme for
That was everywhere.
This is an
Before
ancient
memes.
story, and it's been spoofed and parodied, and it's everywhere.
But that I think goes really to the legend of the actual like history of it, like that.
The blurring, yeah.
But throughout these years, it still tells a story about these brave men or these free men that chose to stand up against evil.
Yeah.
Aside from the movie, the story of 300 is pretty cool. Like, that's how that comment applies to me.
Yeah.
Joe, can you go and do the letterbox and then we'll hop into it?
Letterboxed.
based on Frank Miller's graphic novel 300, is very loosely based the 480 BC Battle of Thermopylae, where the king of Sparta led his army against the advancing Persians. The battle is said to have inspired all of Greece to band together against the Persians and help usher in the world's first democracy.
Joe has finished his letterbox reading.
Okay,
but no,
hold on.
the
Before we go
podcast
any further.
but he makes it epic.
Narrated every scene. And like that is not.
Okay, no,
That
but
is
that
not
but that goes
structure.
no, but that goes to the story.
I understand what's happening, but he could have did it a little bit differently.
All right.
And saying, and he took a step forward, and he grabbed his sword, and he cried when he got stabbed. I'm like, yo. Yeah, you're laughing because it's true.
And his leg was itchy.
Show
Was
versus
bloodthirsty.
tell.
All right, here.
Yes.
At this point, let me put on the glasses.
Cause y'all know it. Y'all know it. You guys can enjoy the fun visuals, but you know that this is kind of doo-doo.
Yes.
It is not doo-doo. And I would not say it's doo-doo.
I can't go that far.
But it is, some of the choices are hilarious that he picked.
He rearms himself with his helmet
He puts his helmet back on as he stares intensely into his phone.
because his vision blurs.
They're reciting the paragraphs in between the dialogue on the script.
Oh, yeah.
They're reciting
In
the
the
camera
scripts.
movement. Hey, you weren't supposed to read that part.
You know, I think Zack Snyder was like,
I disagree.
let's just have him read the whole screenplay
Wait,
out.
okay, no, this
And
is
then
perfect. This is perfect because it goes into one of my things. Let's talk about Snyder, okay?
Okay.
I have a section out just for this so I know how much
Get
words
this out of the
I
way.
know how much words we have to say.
Real quick. Did
Yes.
Snyder direct Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's his best movie.
I can
So that's even a tough movie because that's not fully Snyder.
that's also
That's Snyder and
So it makes sense.
and Christopher Nolan because
Okay.
Nolan produced it,
Yeah.
and you could tell that Nolan's influence is in that movie.
Because it's a good movie.
Man of Steel, I think, is one of his better movies. But again, I think Zack Snyder.
There's a lot going on here, audience.
Okay, I think Zack Snyder.
I think
is great
BVS is better.
visually, and I think that he's really great at world building. But I think
They're not his worlds.
No, but he can.
No, in playing in someone else's sandbox,
Mhm.
he's
He can
great.
thrive.
But when he comes up with his own stuff, it's schlock like Rebel Moon.
But Rebel Moon, even with that, I think if someone came behind him, like with Man of Steel or the other movies, and were like more heavily involved with it, I think his movies would be like top tier, like up there with Christopher Nolan type stuff. But I think it's because directors or not our movie studios are just like, oh, look, we're gonna give you full reign of things. You can do what you want. He
really does.
Yeah, he's
get
just like,
full
ooh,
reign.
I want to do everything, and this is like, chill out, bro. Don't
So
do everything.
he is Lex Luthor.
Yes. I love it.
That's
You
what he
guys
said.
like my movie?
I put all the men in Speedos and only they wear capes.
But look at them.
No
Look at this-
armor.
this space.
They're so strong
the
and
spray
muscly
tan.
men, and they are brothers.
They're,
But
like,
I'm a Jolly Rancher.
Yeah.
are there behind the scenes of how this is made? Because I'm assuming like the entire thing is green screen. They're wearing green suits except for their heads. Like the whole thing is green in my mind.
Well,
that's it.
it is kind of like that.
So is Snyder on
kinda
the
like that.
computers? Is he
Is he on-
also color grading? Because I want to know what he actually did.
He did the camera work. You know, he had to shoot the scenes and things like that. He had the vision board. But it is funny because it is funny.
Oh no, they're wearing the clothes.
They're doing this
their
stuff.
Their bodies are CGI though. Yeah.
Before this movie, Zach only did one other movie, and that was Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
So I feel like this is that movie that made studios think, oh, well, we can just give him full reign, and he'll always make $1 billion, like type.
Because is Watchmen after this, or did he?
I think Watchmen is after this, or it's like one more movie and then it's after that. But Watchmen is very soon in his career path after this movie.
I might
Yeah.
actually be interested in watching Watchmen.
I think Watchmen's his best movie.
I didn't
The
get to
director's
finish
cut of
watching.
it's almost it's like 3.5 hours.
Never
The
mind.
3.5 hour director's
mind.
cut
No,
of
you said it
Watchmen
live. Be a man of your
is
word,
his
Jason.
best.
I made a snap judgment with very little information. It's smart of me to reconsider.
No,
Hey, it's still shorter than the Snyder cut of Justice
it
League.
sure is.
Well-
And I would still watch that movie.
Well,
That's a great.
That might be one of the most Joe movies I've ever seen. Is
I-
the Snyder cut.
I really do. Again, because it goes back to his episodic world, like storytelling, which I think would be a better pick for him to do Odysseus or like to be
The
a part-
Odyssey?
The Odyssey,
Uh-huh.
yeah. To be part of the Odyssey movie in some type of way because he's so grand. He can make things so grandiose looking and epic. It's like Lord
The
of the
shot,
Rings.
the
type
shot where it zooms out of Leonidas's body near the end,
Mhm.
and it shows all the body.
Bodies
It's like a
yeah,
painting.
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
I would put
That
that.
was
It's a
up.
great shot, and he has a way of making these really memorable shots
Mhm.
that really stick with you.
Is that shot in the comic book?
I don't think so.
Hold on.
Probably.
These.
Hang on, let's see.
Come on. Come on.
Okay, but I will. To go to Nick's point, it is funny because I was going into behind the scenes stuff, and Zach literally would put up pictures from the comic book as like storyboards, storyboards while making the movie.
I mean,
No, say it.
that was it. I just need to get that out. I understand, like, if you love comic books and you love this movie and you're a huge fan and you want to see it, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, Zack Snyder is one of the most passionate directors
Mhm.
probably working. And that's a good thing.
And I've also heard he's just one of the nicest people to like. People
Yeah.
love working with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and there's nothing that I will dispute.
Yeah,
That's an awesome thing. I would like to work with Zack Snyder. Like,
yeah.
seriously. But I find it interesting how highly he is elevated in community in general, the film community, the
Mhm.
comic book community. I think it's interesting how highly he is put. When I
See, I actually don't think he is though.
I don't think his work
merits
merits it.
I don't think he is put that highly up though. I think a lot of people hate on him.
It's you
I
looking
don't
back and
know.
forth at us, Jason. It's
our
funny.
group chat.
Nope.
I can't find the exact image from the comic, but boy, do there are a lot of other ones. I'm like, look at that's a great shot. Oh, that's from the
That's
comic.
from the comic.
That's a great shot.
I will say that Pointless Hub is on YouTube. It's some YouTube guy. Him and I are the only people going to the Zack Snyder convention because
There's a Zack Snyder
No,
convention.
he was joking on his video like,
Oh.
I'm a big Snyder fan too, and I'm going to be the only one at the convention. And I'm like, nah, you and me, bro. We'll both talk to Zach. But it is funny because like I can understand where you're like saying like you don't understand why he would be so elevated to the position or just like the controversy of like going back and forth with him directing movies or
Maybe it's just
making
you
style.
two. Maybe it's just you two. I'm like, what are you guys thinking?
I don't know. His storytelling through visuals. Because even if you're looking outside of this movie,
Derek's having an enlightenment right now.
because he keeps looking at you.
Something happening with Derek right now.
But if
because
you-
I read that BVS script that he butchered. The original.
That is true. But I'm saying storytelling through visuals. He's really, really great at that, and I think that's what really.
Because here's the weird thing about Snyder. BVS is a bleak, morbid, depressing movie.
Mhm.
That's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't think you
You
can say
had
that
it
about
almost.
Watchmen, though.
Watchmen.
I'm not sure how much fun Watchmen is. That's why I keep
No, but
starting to watch
I
it, and then-
actually think Watchmen is legitimately good. Like I think it's a
Mhm.
good like it's supposed to be like this noir, like a superhero deconstruction, like
Yeah.
in a noir template. And it's an ensemble cast and it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like, I
that
think
was
it's
not.
good.
But that was not so much fun. I agree. Batman vs Superman, I do think is got some fun moments in it.
Oh, that's on. That is on tape, ladies and gentlemen. That is out there.
Oh, I don't hate it. I just it's. I think I see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But so here's like the biggest crux of this issue, and it's just subjective. I just don't think the visuals look good,
Mm.
and I don't know how you explain that other than like,
You just don't think.
yeah, what you experience and what you find
Yeah.
beauty in an image like that. They look like a video game. They look very digital. They don't look
Well, the color's very highly saturated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
But-
it's not my favorite. So
Yeah.
when there's such an extreme, this is the standard. I'm like, I'll show you some movies that look a whole lot different than this.
Mhm.
Well, I think visually he gets better
Yeah.
as his career goes.
I would even say that he's not the best like visual person. I just love his visual style because it feels like otherworldly, fantasy.
Mhm.
It feels out there.
Well, the way he can capture that kind of like ancient,
like
that
huge.
kind of look there, right, and make it
Mhm.
feel huge. Like
Yeah.
again in the Snyder cut, the sequence with all the
the Trinity fighting Doomsday. Is that
no, in Justice League. The backstory of like all the Greek gods and like the Athenians, like everyone, like
Fighting
all those
Darkseid.
different like
Mhm.
mythological figures. I think it looks awesome.
Honestly,
like,
I
it looks
think
so cool.
That is my favorite scene of the movie. That scene also makes me wish that he got to do like his entire trilogy because it was going to also lead up to that just with all the superheroes. It's
Mhm.
like it's literally like seeing a comic book come to life, and I think that's
what a lot of people. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people like is that he does bring visuals from the comics to
Mhm.
life on the big screen in live action.
Yeah.
and makes it feel big and epic, mythological.
Because even in this movie, the narrator when he's telling the story, he's telling a grandiose story, and you would add a bit more liberties if you're trying to inspire a bunch of people.
I was thinking the same. This is actually why I think the narration kind of works.
Because he's trying to inspire soldiers to fight against this evil.
And the way he's blending history with adding some sort of mythological element.
Yeah.
Because here's what's really fascinating. He leaves.
Yeah.
So the way he's describing how they all like die and get, we don't actually know if that's what's happened because nobody was there to tell, right? Nobody survived to tell the story.
Yeah.
So he's left to tell the story. And I find that really fascinating because that is what happens in history is we are trying to tell the story of those who can no longer tell their own story.
And this actually goes into the next section I want to talk about. The actual real history of the battle and the Spartans in 300.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, so the Spartans weren't actually like noble as they're portrayed in the movie. Well, I know Leonidas calls them the Greeks boy lovers, but then the Spartans, but the Spartans were actually very cruel too. Like when, in the beginning where they're examining the babies and seeing if there's any defects, that's real. When they send the kids off in the young age, in the elements, that stuff is like accurate. So their entire world their entire state was built on military. So it was split up into 3 different sections. It was the elite warriors, the citizens that were in the middle class that get protection from the upper class by making them weapons and things like that. And then the slaves that they got were the ones that produced and made the food. So literally the entire state was built up to make this military force.
Yeah.
Which is why these 300 men were able to withstand this invasion force for the battle was for 2 days, but in the 2 days they killed like 10,000 people.
It's a culture built on the warrior archetype, and that's really what it's leaning into, which is interesting because Greece, this is pre-Alexander the Great, so we're not quite at that level yet. But if I understand correctly, this battle really, even though they lose in a sense, what it inspires is actually what's going to eventually lead to someone like Alexander the Great coming and rising up and really taking Greece to be kind of like the first, quote unquote, world empire.
Yeah. And
like
even
at that point.
And even including like some aspects of democracy, like even the Spartan women, they were trained, they were educated, they were like fit. I forget who wrote this, but they said when you go to Sparta, it's like you're going into heaven because of all these beautiful ladies and stuff like that. It's actually kind of funny. But,
well, the Spartan women, that's an interesting thing too, because Tori and I were looking that up, and we're like, it's just some modern like feminist thing. And it actually like all that stuff in the film about like
they're standing up and like being like confident in herself. But they wanted their women to feel like that because again, like how she said, only Spartan women produce real men.
Yeah, great line.
We're gonna get through the lines that were actually like mostly historically accurate that were in this movie as well.
Yeah, isn't that line an actual line that was pulled?
I don't know, but probably.
I think it was because I think Tori, she's Wikipedia. She really,
she's wiki.
If I'm context, she's wiki. And she's looking it up and she's like, oh, that line is real. Like that's like a real Spartan maxim. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of like good lines in here that are actually like said about it. Leonidas at this time was like 50 to 60 years old.
Yeah.
But again, because their whole society is built up on fighting and being a warrior, he was fit, so it really didn't even matter. The rest of the city-states were focused on the Olympics, which is why the whole thing pretty much was the reason why the 300 soldiers went out to go fight and protect them. Part with the Oracle, that's actually real. Leonidas went to the oracles to see, and the Oracle presumably said, like, either Sparta is going to fall or a king is going to sacrifice himself for
The
Sparta.
Oracle that's bribed.
Yeah.
Insane.
But apparently in real life that she wasn't bribed, but I guess
Oh,
to create
okay.
tension.
That's good to know.
Yeah, to create tension and stuff like that in the movies.
Was the other guy bribed by the Persians in real life? The guy who was trying to overthrow?
I think that was just an add-on. I think
Okay.
that was just something that they were putting in to create drama within the movie too. Because again, all this has happened in like 2 days.
Yeah.
2 to 3 days.
Yeah. It's small. It's intimate, right,
Yes.
Nick?
It's
This is not. No. You're joking.
You're
dude.
saying learning the history?
Oh well, no. This
No,
podcast
I said it's a
is
small, intimate story. The 300
but the movie is not. No.
Yeah, because it is an intimate story, but they have to convey it to a mass so they can be brought in to fight. To fight.
Look, I understand, and I can agree to a point, but when you talk about small, intimate stories, like when the dude's son dies, and
He goes on a
these
bloodbath.
characters are, as I experienced the movie, stock characters.
Mhm.
They did not have a lot of depth. There isn't a lot of depth in the individual characters. The story of 300, I mean, if you want to watch a warrior movie, like I can see those things, but I did not care for a lot of the characters personally.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it didn't move me. So when
Yeah.
you talk about intimate,
I'm joking.
well, hey, I needed that on record. I'm sorry.
I will say I didn't buy it for a lot, but I think the first scene where it actually felt like, oh, like these are real people.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was the only scene, it might have been, but the first scene was when they were holding their shields above their heads.
Oh, and then
And
the
the
arrows
were
are
coming, and the guy was just like, we said we'd be in the shade. I was like, okay, this is real. This is a real moment.
because that is
Yeah.
real.
There's some levity.
They actually said that. It was like, the arrows will block out the sun. He's like, well, we're going to fight in the shade. So that is a historically accurate line too. When
Oh,
they say
cool.
that.
Oh, I don't care about his rule.
Yeah, but
I will fight this. I mean, like the guy
moment.
laughing,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
That was real. The moment was real.
I'm saying it could have led it to the real moment like that.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But that moment, I'm like, okay, like I care a little bit. Like that felt real.
mhm.
Them
Mhm.
on the shores, like naked in the rain, laughing as all the ships crashed. I
Yeah.
was like, what's going on here? What are we doing? That was goofy.
I mean,
We cheered. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
We
You're
cheer.
gonna catch a cold. Like, what is?
but again, all that is like really historically accurate. Before they went out to battle, the Persians went out to scout, and they came back to Xerxes and were like, they're over there braiding each other's hair and putting fragrance and oil on their bodies and like shaving themselves, but they're preparing themselves for death. They're making sure that when they die, their bodies are still in a way preserved or glorified, because that's kind of what their religion's based on. So even with that, yes, that's goofy.
The rain. There's no oil in the rain. They're
You
just.
said there's no oil in the rain.
Yeah, they're just cheering, and it just looks. It just looks goofy. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to tell you about the looking goofy part, but again,
But-
this some of this stuff is like close to historically accurate.
Yeah. Any other historical points?
No, but I'll get into the quotes. Oh yeah, last thing, there is no hunchback, of course. Obviously, it was just a shepherd that wanted some money. And
Oh.
ratted them out. There was a goat path behind them, so he was like, "Hey, for some money, I can tell you."
Yeah, because that's true. Is that they do get betrayed
Yeah.
and they do get taken from the back, and that's how they lose.
But,
Yeah.
but Frank added the
hunch-
homunculus.
Yeah.
Can I also just say that I really love the scene where Leonidas confronts Xerxes, and the whole presence of Xerxes in the movie is really cool because
Yep.
yeah,
I'm a gracious God.
I actually
I am kind.
I am God.
You will find it. Yeah, he says it like 10
find
times.
it.
yeah
I am kind.
Yeah.
I'm kind.
I really
Trust me.
I really like that, and I
Trust
think
me,
it's really fascinating because we're watching the movie and Tori's like, "Ugh, that's Esther's husband," and I'm like,
Esther.
"Oh yeah."
Oh.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
That's King
okay,
Xerxes.
Tori.
That's Xerxes. And that added a new layer as I was watching it. I'm like, oh, she had to put up with that.
She had to go. She had to confront that.
She had to confront that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
she did
tall?
what Leonidas failed to do.
That dude killed
With
Haman.
words. With words.
Oh,
Wait, she
man.
doesn't kill Xerxes.
No.
He's like laying there in his pride with the arrows.
And Esther just went, hey, can you stop doing this?
Yeah.
All right.
Xerxes is like, who did this to you? I'll help you out.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, don't worry, Esther. You will find.
That I am kind.
Haman has
For such a time as this.
hang the man on that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I actually thought the Xerxes stuff was really cool
Mhm.
because that is a king we know quite a bit about.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way he sees, like all the kings of those ancient cultures,
Was he
how they
really
saw
like that?
themselves as gods. I don't know how too much like that, but I mean, that's typically how those rulers saw themselves, as they saw themselves as an
positions.
incarnation. But I
Kinda
thought
tall.
those
Mhm.
scenes between them were really cool because I think Xerxes really does give him an offer
Yeah.
that would be hard for him to refuse. He offers him glory.
Yeah.
He offers him like that which he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And
But it's still sinful and selfish in nature, so it's not glory. It's
Mhm.
glorifying himself, but it's not true glory.
Well, and I think this is why the movie resonates with people. I'm going to talk, I don't know, maybe if this is a good time to talk about this, but I think this is one of the reasons why this movie resonates so much with people.
Yeah.
So 300 is, I think of you when I watch it because it's got that family bond. It's
Mhm.
got that community, right? And it's essentially a guy fighting for his community's best interest.
Mhm.
And the problem is that he goes to Xerxes and Xerxes says, sure, like I'll look after your community and you can thrive and all that. But you Leonidas have to bow down to me. You have to bend to me. And that is not in the best interest of his community, right? For him to have to bend to someone like that,
Yeah.
that means that he is essentially submitting, and he is submitting on behalf of his community.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's what's really awesome is because you have this band of brothers that are up against a real battle and they don't want to give in. They don't want to buckle to the pressure of idols,
Mhm.
right? They don't want to serve these other masters. And so when I researched years ago the relationship between narrative therapy and film, there's only one study that I could find.
Okay.
And it was in this journal of narrative practice. And it was this narrative practitioner who was trying to work with a client who's dealing with substance abuse. I sent the article to you guys. I'm not sure if you read it, but like he's trying to deal with this and nothing's working. He's using all the narrative techniques and all these different things and nothing's really getting through to him. He sees 300 and then he goes to his client and says, so this might be kind of wild, but have you seen this movie 300? And he goes and encourages
Yeah.
the guy to go watch 300. And the guy's name is Bob. And so he comes back and this is what Bob says. He said it was amazing. I had to watch it a few times. That's when it hit me. The fight between the Spartans and Xerxes is like my fight with my addiction to alcohol. He has so many powerful and unique agents, such as the immortals of Asia and other soldiers with their unique battle strategies that he used to achieve victory. His forces appear to attack Spartans continuously day and night. When one force fails, Xerxes sends another. I feel as if I'm fighting all these forces like the Spartans were. And like them, that the fight is never going to end. I really love how the Spartans worked together and how they lived for the fight and not for the victory. I love that because the whole article goes on to talk about how Bob eventually is inspired by this movie and starts taking these proactive steps towards his addiction. He goes into a halfway house and he actually requires the men coming in to watch 300 and creates a whole culture around 300 in terms of battling addiction there. And so I think that's awesome because that's the power of stories. That's the power of film. And that's why this podcast exists, is because we choose movies, we choose stories that are resonating with us, that we hope and pray as others out there listening, that it can resonate with them also.
Yeah.
And I think it's so amazing that a story like 300 that is adapting something that's kind of historical, but also mythic. It's, a couple 1,000+ years old.
Yeah.
It's through Zack Snyder, not the greatest filmmaker. It's flawed, it's imperfect, and yet it's changing someone's life. It's changing their narrative, their story.
Yeah.
And as it's doing that, they're influencing and shaping and changing the story and narrative of others. And I just think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to share from this narrative therapy study. I want to read this quote here that says, the process of co-creating alternative metaphors through films can be effective with clients who describe the dominant problem story as negatively framing their lives in ways that leave little room for personal agency. From such a negative framing of their behavior, these clients often have little control over the process of authoring their own narrative. Films may help these clients by creating space in which to deconstruct their problematic narratives in order to author more positive ones. Using films and narrative therapy can be done in a variety of ways and is not limited to these examples. Again, I think that's the power of stories like 300, is that they can touch people in different ways. And, in my coaching program and the classes that I teach, I try to engage clients with the films that are meaningful to them. That's actually a whole conversation that we have in order to best understand what resonates with them, what they connect with, and being able to help to reauthor the story of their life by looking at what stories are shaping them and meaningful to them, because there's things in these stories, like what this guy found in 300, that are meaningful. And so if that's something you're interested in, check out allthingsnarrative.com at the link in the show notes here.
And I kind of wanted to get in, like, with your segue, I wanted to get into what it pretty much has said to me throughout the years of me watching it, from what, like, again, my pastor has said, my previous pastor said, and stuff like that. So I pretty much get two things from this movie: being warriors of the faith and life and death having meaning. So being warriors of the faith, I think, especially with what we're living in now, in the world we're living in now, I feel like there is a lot of passive Christians, or the enemy has strongly been fighting in this world and has been winning in a lot of different circumstances. And I feel as though we as Christians need to take that step into actually fighting against the cruelty or just the sinful ways of this world, or instead of just sitting back like, oh, well, they're going to do their thing over there, they're going to do their thing over there. But I feel like we need to start taking an active role against Satan's forces, because again, in this movie, Christ has bought us, and the freedom that we have is to walk freely in Christ. But there is actions that we still need to take, and there's a fight that we still need to do in our lives, outside of our lives, for others. So there's still a fight that needs to take place, and there's a clear fight against good and evil that is happening right now. And one of the scriptures I kind of tie that to is Nehemiah 4:14. Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. This is what King Leonidas was fighting for.
Yeah.
He's fighting for those things. And as Christian, I think even as men, this is the role that God has also put us in, that we need to be fighting these things. And I think it kind of ties into what we talked about with Fight Club. These generations of men have almost sort of lost the fight within them. And we're seeing that more and more as we are going throughout this world. And I think that is something that we need to take back as Christians, just in general, fighting against evil. There is just a simple like, oh, that's just what we're in right now. But it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ultimate things that we need to start realizing as well.
Well, and again, to tie it back to authenticity, right? It's that you can have your identity as a people, as a community, right? As the Spartans, as the body of Christ. But when you are being challenged to forfeit just a small compromised piece of that identity, right? And whether that's, as Christians today, or whether, again, it's the Spartans, just giving that knee to Xerxes. That's all they have to do is just get the down,
Yeah.
right? It's just a small little thing,
Mhm.
but it's like a chink in the armor that really is going to expose
Yeah.
that weak point.
And
And once that's exposed,
Yeah.
you're open
And
to
I can-
being attacked.
And I can relate to that. There was a situation that happened somewhere where I was asked to take something down that I wholeheartedly did not believe that I should take
Was
down.
it something on dinosaurs?
No, it wasn't dinosaurs. But something that has to do with the faith.
Oh, okay.
And I did not feel comfortable doing it. So I had to fight to keep it up.
Mm,
And in a situation like that, it's uncomfortable, but you're standing your ground of what you are willing to fight
course.
for and what you are what standards you're willing to fight for.
hmm
So I can really relate to that situation. And then the next thing is life and death having meaning.
hmm
So with the Spartans, again, with their religion, death was a very important part of their religion. But even with our religion, death is also important because the ultimate death that mattered the most was Jesus. And we know even after our death, this is not the end.
Mhm.
So even with the Spartans, it was the wrong way of what they were thinking, but the truth still stands.
Yeah, because Leonidas and the death of the 300 actually
Inspired.
and it gives birth to something new
Mhm.
that actually leads to Greece,
Mhm.
having this kind of worldly power. And Christ's death gives birth to this power that comes through the kingdom of God.
Yeah, and even individual lives and thinking about what is going to be your legacy when you die. What is your life going to be said after your death? How did you live your life up to that moment? I even had a conversation with one of my students. My students are fourth graders, but they are very, very intelligent fourth graders.
Yes, they
But
are.
there is a situation that happened. He was like, well, what if I die in this situation? And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, then that's why you need to start taking your life seriously now.
Mhm.
So even if you die tomorrow, what you said about your life is what is focused on it, not just how you died
Yeah.
or what that death means. Because again, the ultimate death was Jesus, and why he died was for our lives and for us to live with Christ. So I think those things I really got from the movie,
Yeah.
just the importance of or living a life that and can inspire others after you're gone,
Mhm.
and fighting for the things that matter the most, or the fighting for what's good.
Yeah.
So,
That's so good, Joe.
Deuteronomy 31, 5-6. And the Lord will give them over to you, and you shall do to them according to the whole commandment that I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you.
Nick, Jason, final thoughts?
For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing.
Mm.
Good.
Yeah.
That's really
And yeah, this movie was all right for me, but and it's funny, it ties into this. The moment that I kind of snapped out of my whatever
Mhm.
was when Leonidas' knees hit the ground.
good. Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, wait, what? No,
Mhm,
that's not how this
mhm. Yeah.
ends. What do you mean he's surrendering?
Yeah.
And I rewinded it because I thought that there's some parts that I don't know if I didn't pay attention to enough, but I thought that his wife would stab the dude and she was called a traitor and then they just killed her or
Mm.
whatever. But they found the dude's coin,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the Persian coins.
Yes.
And they're like, wait a minute, no, this guy's a traitor, and he was found out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, never mind. I like this movie more. And when Leonidas' knees hit the ground, I was like, whoa, no. And then it was to launch an attack
Mm-hmm.
and to show that this thing called a god is not a
Yeah.
god. It can
Yes.
bleed.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
was like, okay.
Do you bleed? You will.
I think
Besides that,
I know we didn't really.
There is okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on, Jason.
no, that
There is some overarching theme in every Snyder movie
Jason.
about exposing
A
a
false
godlike character as fallible. Okay,
That's
think
good.
about it.
That's good.
Xerxes,
Mm-hmm.
Dr.
Okay.
Manhattan in Watchmen,
Yeah.
Zod in Man of Steel,
Mhm.
Okay.
Superman and in Batman v Superman,
Yeah.
Dark Side or Steppenwolf,
Steppenwolf.
Dark Side, all that
Yeah.
stuff in Justice League.
And that Owl movie
Okay.
that he made.
Yeah,
the animated
holy
Owl
crap!
movie.
Oh, that's like all his movies.
Exposing false gods.
What?
Okay.
Okay, Snyder. Okay. What do you think of that, Nick?
I'm with you. I think it is cool. I'm with you.
But and we didn't talk about this much, but in that scene, he's letting go of all the things that are keeping him down, his burden, his weight.
Yeah.
Because that's to be precise, to hit the exact precise thing
strange.
that that I feel like is
Not that part.
Yeah. But just all of it. But
Yes. It's incredibly strange to me. It's like a conflicting director. I get it. That's really cool. But then I gotta watch the movie.
It's like, what is he
almost
doing?
like with Snyder,
It's
you like
conflicting.
the idea more than the execution.
I would say yes, absolutely.
Which is interesting because those are not Snyder's ideas. They're Frank Miller's ideas. They're
Which
Alan
brings me-
Moore's
that's-
ideas.
That's why
They're
they're
other
so much.
But he has some type of narrative that he wants to share through the things that have already been in place.
Passionate, good
Yeah.
guy, awesome guy.
But yeah, he had to, pretty much Leonidas had to let go of those things.
Yeah.
What also we need to do is let go of the burdens
Yeah.
so that we can stay focused on the path.
I do think that some of the scenes do look good.
And there's nothing wrong with directors directing other people's work.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
it's just
Getting credit for the other work.
the thing is I do like the ideas better than the execution
Mm-hmm.
on a whole.
Estanos.
I see the narration and I accept it. Like, okay, he's telling a story, he's passing it on to inspire the others. I was like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. And as we're listening to this guy's story, we're imagining in our minds how it went down, and that's what we're watching. So
Yeah.
in that, okay, I get it. That makes sense. I can agree with that. I don't mind that. I like that. But yeah.
Well, Joe, thanks for bringing this one.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have a question.
Oh,
Not about the movie. I'm done with the movie. No, it's about the archetypes.
Mhm.
So like with Jason, the warrior archetype, is that something that you think was from childhood or something that you've kind of stepped into, like Jason stepped into caretaker?
I think there's always been some type of warrior archetype in me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was squashed more when I was younger. I didn't really stand up for things or stand up for myself because I didn't feel as though I actually could.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I stepped in it more as I got older, and I understood that I should be treated a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Not arrogantly.
No.
No, but I'm laughing even though I'm wearing a cape. But
Yeah.
There-
Tony Stark over here.
hey, man, you know me. But as a child of God, I know that God cares about me and how God sees me, how God views me, which I think inspires me to want to show others that, which
Yeah.
is why I fight against the things or really don't like things that try to squander or oppress or push people down,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of ties into all my movies too with system stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think now I am more of a warrior
Mm-hmm.
than I was before.
You think
Yeah.
that shift happened the last like 5 years or so?
I think so. I think it still started out in California around the time when I came back from my program in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he is definitely growing that in me more,
Mhm.
especially giving me a warrior wife, man. Like,
Yeah.
but like learning from her and how she
That's
chooses
cool.
to stand up
Mhm.
against things that are wrong and seeing that it is okay to stand up against these things or when it's right to fight or when it's
Yeah.
time to just submit. So it's that type of stuff.
You have a Spartan wife.
I do have a Spartan wife. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that. Said, come back on your shield or come back with your shield or on it. And I'm like, oh, because Nancy ain't going out to go find me. That's why she would tell me to come back.
I ain't going out.
Just make it easy.
Yeah, make it easier for me so I can know what happened to you.
Well,
All right, that's
well,
him.
well. Speaking of,
All right, that's him.
With the finger swirl.
it's the one with the cape.
Right. Also, to promote my next movie.
Oh yes.
Yes, we have a release date.
Yay! When is
It
it?
is March 15th. The movie Avengers Assemble will be released March 15th on YouTube. The premiere will also be then, so those who are being invited to the premiere are going to see it before then.
How
So,
is
sorry.
Disney?
Let's
taking
go.
this
Yeah,
down?
right. So let's see how well I do compared to Disney, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you've got something
Try
Disney doesn't have in your movie. Cobra Commander.
Don't spoil it, Derek.
Sorry.
You gotta take it all out now.
Sorry, I will.
But yeah, so please go to my YouTube page.
Just giving them a tease.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, look forward to seeing it March 15th.
So join us next time for my pick on Authenticity Network.
Yeah.
And until then,
He picks up his phone.
Go
read the final quote.
Go tell the Spartans that pass by that here, obedient to their word, we lie.
End scene.
Thank you for listening to the Live a Meaningful Story podcast, produced by All Things Narrative. If you'd like to learn more about our coaching, workshops, events, please check out allthingsnarrative.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at All Things Narrative. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and tune in next time as we continue exploring the stories we love and the stories we live. Take care.